Hi, everyone. I'm Roseanne with the Alcohol Free Lifestyle Programs, and I'm an enrollment and client journey coach with one of our programs called Project 90. I'm filling in for James. And today we are talking to Kathryn Sharp from the Bay Area, and she's a school counselor and teacher. She has just recently completed her journey in Project 90, and I will let her tell you where she is in her journey. So welcome, Kathryn.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Good to have you. Thanks for joining us. I know it's a big leap for some to just share their story, so I always appreciate people coming on and sharing theirs. Tell me, how many days are you alcohol free?
So I'm 117 days with Project 90, and I actually started a little bit before Project 90 with the 5-day alcohol free. So I'm actually 120 days total.
Nice. That's a legit 4 months, isn't it? How are you feeling in general? Tell me how 4 months feels.
Yeah, it feels really good. I don't know that some people experience a lot of physical changes. I don't know that I experience a ton of physical changes, but it's more mental and the feeling that I've tried and tried to quit, and I've been able to do like maybe 20 days at the most, but always went back. And so this is kind of the first time that I've actually stuck with it. And I feel really proud of myself. And there's been a lot of internal changes, I think, more than necessarily outward changes.
So tell me, what brought you to the point where you just said, "Hey, enough is enough. I want to quit. I want to see what an alcohol-free life looks like."
Well, I think it's been a long journey. I think I've probably tried to quit probably for the last maybe 3 or 4 years. I've heard of people doing dry January or dry October or something. And sometimes I've tried to give it up for Lent, and found that to be just horrifically awful and very painful and not fun. And I've just never been able to do it. And when I saw the Facebook 5-day thing, I don't know, I didn't really even think about it. I just said, I'm doing this. I want to see if I can do it. And I knew there was going to be support. And I think that was the big key, because trying to do it by yourself or even with a family member or friend, it's too easy to say, I had a glass of wine, sorry,
Right.
I knew there would be this accountability. And I think that's what really struck me.
Well, what were you drinking prior to quitting?
So I really love Chardonnay, and that's my probably third favorite. My first favorite is champagne, and a cheap champagne, mind you, not expensive champagne. But I loved it, and I could, I would start at like 4:00 and I'd have a glass, and then I would think, okay, I'm not going to have any more. But of course, 6:00 I'd have another glass, 7:00 another, and the whole bottle would be gone. And then I would go, doggone it, I wasn't going to drink tonight. And of course, when you drink, you eat. So I would eat chips and whatever else late at night because I didn't like that feeling of feeling kind of woozy or something. So I would eat some carbohydrates to kind of fill that in. But my all-time favorite are lemon drops, and I learned how to make them, and I learned how to make them very strong. And so, I didn't drink those every night by any means, but probably once or maybe sometimes twice a week, I would get on lemon drops, which is vodka and lemons basically, and triple sec. So it's a lot of alcohol. If I would go out to dinner, it was a lemon drop, at least one lemon drop, maybe 2, and a glass of wine.
Right. Well, for those that are just listening on the podcast, you're a fairly petite person. How tall are you?
5'7".
Yeah.
But I could handle, anyway. So those are kind of my drinks of choice.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't ever be usually just one. It wouldn't just be one lemon drop with dinner. It would be a lemon drop and wine, or 2 glasses of wine. And then if I went out like for a late lunch, let's say, or early dinner, I would drink more. It wouldn't be enough.
Right. It usually isn't. When we call to get help, it usually is like, wait a minute, why isn't it easier to stop or to just have one? And it's a habit.
And probably I've experienced quite a few blackouts where I don't remember. And I find out the next day that I did or said something that wasn't very nice, or, and that's pretty scary. When you think about it, and sometimes, I know the first one I experienced, I was I was way too thin, and it wasn't that I drank so much, but I completely blacked out and I think even fainted, or I don't know, whatever. So it's kind of scary, but I would have those, in the last 10 years, probably 10 or 15 times.
Right. And who would tell you about what you did?
Either my boyfriend or my boyfriend's daughter, or if we would be out with friends and it would happen, I would find out, I'd wake up the next day and my boyfriend's mad at me and I have no idea why or what I did. And then I'm calling my friend going, what did she goes, oh my gosh, Kathy, blah, 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 blah,
Right. How did that make you feel?
Terrible. And that's one of the joys. The last thing that happened that was kind of not good is my boyfriend and I both have Can-Ams. They're motorcycles with 2 wheels in the front and 1 in back, right? Motorcycles that you can ride. Anyway, kind of like quads or whatever. So we went on a big bike ride with another couple. And of course, we stopped at bars and drank. And the last place we stopped, of course, I had wine tasting. What else had I had? Anyway, wine tasting and something else, I think. And then we stopped at this last place. And of course, I had to have a lemon drop or 2. Mm-hmm. I had 2. And we have to drive home. And we're 2.5 hours away from home. And little did I know, my boyfriend was really mad at me, for doing, what the hell are you doing? Having another one, kind of looking at me like that. And I'm like, yeah, I'll do what I want, kind of an attitude. And driving that thing home was really scary. And we ended up getting separated because I think he was mad and I was whatever I was, When you're drinking, you kind of just don't give you kind of don't care what's going on with the That was kind of the last, I'm like, that was not comfortable. And I'm so excited to be able to now come into summer and be able to ride. And if we go to bars, we go to bars. I don't even care, but I'm not going to drink and I'm not going to have that experience again.
Right.
I feel like I can't for myself.
What was the turning point for you? Was it that event, or was it you were sick of talk?
And then Project 90 was James.
Right.
And knowing, knowing that I couldn't do 90 days on my own. I knew I couldn't. And that night, so I talked to him, let's say on one day, and I've kept the journals for a long time. And so I went back and because, it's money, it's the skin in the game kind of thing. And I went back and read my journals, the last 2 that I've done. And every other page was, I want to quit. I need to quit. I need to quit drinking. I need to, I think my last thing was, okay, I'm going to be a big girl and I'm not going to drink during the week, period. No, I'm not doing it. I'm going to drink just on the weekends. Well, that lasted not even a week. By Thursday, I was drinking. So I knew I couldn't do it by myself. And that's kind of a scary place to be, right? I didn't feel, I have, I think, the big book on my phone with AA, I've contemplated that, but I'm not, I'm working, I'm not at the bottom of the barrel, and I did not feel comfortable. I've been to an AA meeting and I thought it was kind of cool where you can really, it's like being in church where you can really cuss, I thought it was kind of neat. But I don't feel like I'm an alcoholic. I don't feel like I need to go to, I haven't lost everything and I'm at the bottom and I need to do I just didn't, and I didn't know where to look really. Where is a program that's for people that just have a habit of drinking too much because they're bored? A lot of it's out of boredom or not knowing what to do with myself in the afternoons,
Right. And I do want to ask you, I don't usually ask this to people on the podcast, but I should. This is a fairly significant investment. And as you look, and as an enrollment coach, it's really hard for people to understand the value of that investment. But, given that it was a significant investment for you, how do you look at that investment in the rearview mirror? How do you see that?
I think it was the best investment in myself that I've ever made. For a lot of reasons, alcohol free is one of the big ones, but there have been other things along the way that I've gained that, and I still have there's a few times my little head will go, maybe you could have done it on your own. Maybe you could have done it on your own. But you know what? I wouldn't have the other things that this program has offered, right? The friendships, the sense of community, the accountability, all the other little subgroups that have happened. And so I look at it as the best investment I've made in myself. And I never really understood the whole skin in the game thing until this, realizing that when you, if you're a millionaire, right, then it's no big deal. But if you're not, the amount of money can be a significant thing. And it definitely was to me. And I'm like, I am not going, and I tend to be impulsive, and I'll jump on things before I think, right? I'll just, let's do it. $2,000. Okay, let's go, or whatever the case may be. And I'm like, that is not going to happen this time. I am not going to be a year from now drinking like I was, and that was a waste of money. I'm not doing it. I'm not. And so that's been a key motivation for me to keep going, and to know, and to hear other people's stories, and to know that if I were to have one glass of wine tonight, I would have another glass tomorrow, and another glass the next day, and another, and then it would be two. I'd be right back to where I started. I'm not, maybe, I don't know, maybe down the road there's, miraculously I'll change, but I know myself, and I've heard from other people that you end up probably even drinking more if you go back to it.
Yeah, I've heard people do that. I don't plan on testing the theory. But let's get back to Project 90, because of course I love Project 90 too. And but people, do you see this as a recovery program, or do you see this as a coaching program? Like, which?
I don't see it as a recovery program
at
all. I see it as a people wanting to let go of something that's been hindering them in their life. And that's the beauty. That is the beauty of this program. It's not just people going, okay, I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to drink. It's like, okay, what do I want to do next? What changes do I want to make in my life? What's if I'm able to get a handle and choose not to drink alcohol, what else am I capable of doing? And I think that's the huge beauty of this program, that it's aiming higher, not pushing something down, if that makes any sense. Like
absolutely. Trying to, and people who maybe listen to the podcast will hear me say this more than one time, but one of our members, Warren, mentioned it, and he's like, I felt like I had a parachute and it was deflated. And now that I've gone alcohol free, my parachute is open, and it represents energy and ideas and positivity. And would that be a good explanation?
Very good explanation. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you and other people go through a lot of transitions during Project 90 and just in life. And a lot of times what we're learning inside Project 90 is that it's not what's happening to us that's the problem. It's how we're learning to deal with it. And you just made a major life decision, yet you're doing so with confidence and looking to the future with,
positivity and
So tell us, huh?
And excitement.
Yeah. So tell us about that.
Well, I'm the kind of person that doesn't really like to think too far ahead. I'm not one of those that has a 10-year plan, a 20-year plan. That overwhelms me. So I've kind of just not really thought it, like the thought when people talk about retirement, I just go like this. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. Life is going to happen, and I'll do what I don't know. And I think some of that I'm going to keep because that's just part of me. But I'm now able to kind of look at life and what is it that I really want? What kind of a future do I want? And what am I willing to let go of? And what do I want to keep in my life with a lot more confidence? I think drinking just kind of dulled my senses, dulled my vision, made me feel maybe not very good about myself because I couldn't control it. So I would, if I felt bad about something, or if I got in a fight with my boyfriend's daughter, or something happened that I didn't like, I would just go get a glass of wine, and maybe it would make me fall asleep, and I wouldn't have to think about it or deal with it.
Right. Yeah. Actually, another huge thing for you and Project 90 has been relationships. Do you want to share about how your relationships have changed with people over the 4 months?
I think my daughter and my mom will tell me, even though, you don't see the changes in yourself, right? I don't see it in myself, but my daughter will look at me and it's like, Mom, you look just so beautiful, or so, you just look different and you look happier. And so my mom and my daughter will kind of tell me that. But then in my relationship with my boyfriend and his daughter who lives with us, or I live with them, I don't know however you want to look at it. Her and I have butted heads from the very beginning. And, it's hard for a daughter to accept another woman. I get it. And she has valid reasons for maybe not liking me or whatever. But we have just butted heads. I mean, huge fights, yelling, screaming, cussing at each other, where her dad gets involved and then he's mad at her and yelling at her. It's just been horrid. It's been awful. And a lot of alcohol induced, she'll do, if I've had a few glasses of wine and she does something that pisses me off, there it goes. Right. And I didn't have the clarity to go, that's really petty, Kathy. Kathryn, what are you getting so mad at her for? Like, let it go. It doesn't matter. Right. And so we just fought. And I came to the point, this is before Project 90, but in talking with my daughter and reading books that I was coming to her with a certain kind of energy, and negative energy, I'm sure. Right. Every time, I would think about, Nia's home and what's going to happen and what mood is she going to be in? And so I know I was bringing an energy that I was part of the problem, right? It wasn't just her. And I didn't even, so I joined Project 90 and stopped drinking alcohol. And it was like, all of a sudden we get along. All of a sudden and I can't explain it. It's one of those things that, I feel like many people they lost weight, they could sleep better, all these physical things. I didn't get that, but I got this, right? This, whatever it is that I'm bringing to that relationship in particular is good, right? It's positive, and it is an absolute night and day. And
have you asked her? Have you asked her what? Not yet.
I don't know that she thinks deeply enough about me to be able to say, she hasn't said anything to me like, wow, we're getting along. It's really weird, and we still have, it's not 100, it's not always perfect. We still have our little things that kind of rub each other the wrong way, but it's very short-lived, over very fast. And it's just, I look at it as a miracle, honestly. It's, and the only thing that's changed is I'm not drinking.
Right. That's the big thing. So you feel a lot calmer?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah. That's one thing I noticed, is that you are less reactive to situations, less apt to take things on yourself because you have more confidence in yourself, right?
Just thinking about, what's going on in the world, and I'm having a hard enough time with it as it is, right? For a variety of reasons. And if I was drinking, it would be probably more than I could bear, right? I would not, I'm calmer and I'm able to kind of just, okay, I have those feelings, I have those thoughts about what's happening, just, okay, that's okay. And let it go. And I think if I was drinking it away, trying to drink it away, right, this would be a great, I think people are drinking a lot more right now because things are so upside down. Mm-hmm. And I'm so glad that I'm not, right. I kind of can't believe it sometimes that I'm not, rushing to drown out my angry feelings that I have sometimes.
Good. Yeah. What goes on in the outside world affects me, but it doesn't affect me anymore. Not like it used to.
Just a quick message from our show sponsor, Project 90, the program that helps you enjoy life more by getting ultimate power over alcohol. Project 90 helps high achievers regain their confidence, be more present with friends and family, get clear, reduce stress and anxiety, sleep better, increase focus and productivity, and feel a whole lot better. Project 90 does this by helping members quit alcohol for at least 90 days, whilst providing 6 months of accountability and support. The program has an 87% success rate of members reaching at least 90 consecutive days alcohol-free on their first attempt. Members get a one-on-one accountability coach, a community of like-minded people to interact with, 100% privacy and confidentiality. And what's more, members tell us that it's fun. Project 90 members are mostly over the age of 35, entrepreneurs, executives, top professionals, retirees. So if you're in your late 30s or 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s or older, and you consider yourself a high achiever and you're ready to upgrade your life by quitting alcohol for at least 90 days, maybe more, then you can have a free 45-minute exploratory call with one of Project 90's former clients, now coaches. If you'd like to book that call, you can go to jamesswanwick.com/schedule. That's jamesswanwick.com/schedule. Or if you're on your phone in the US right now, you can text me at the number 44222. Just send me the word Project 90. Send that to 44222, and the word is Project 90, and we'll email you a schedule link. Okay, let's get back to today's episode.
So your relationship with your boyfriend's changed a little bit too, and I think you've been able to inspire him some.
He has stopped drinking January 1st, mainly I think due to medical issues, right? Being like he's got to stop or he's not going to live very much longer. And he was a hard drinker, vodka every night, 12, 15 beers.
Wow. That's pretty heavy.
Very heavy drinker. And the good thing about me starting before him is I was, we tried this one other time, like he tried to stop drinking probably a year ago, and I was going to not drink with him. Well, I was sneaking off to the restaurant and having my lemon drops and, not able to support him. And so this has been, me kind of taking it, making this decision and choice. And I'm sure it makes it a little easier for him to see that I'm not doing it. The interesting thing is sometimes I think we think if we stop drinking, it's going to be just
right.
I kind of thought even with him that it would change. He would change a little more, some of his, the way he acts and some of his whatever. But it hasn't. So, and there's a lot of work.
He doesn't have the coaching, right?
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't have that. It's just, and I think so far it's been pretty easy for him because he just made that decision, just like when you're 100% in, it's pretty easy. But he doesn't have the other support, the nuggets of truth that we get and and
that is, I talk to a lot of people that have been able to go alcohol free for 30 or 60 or 6 months long, a lot of times. And they're like, I didn't get that pop. And I think that's what the leverage point is in here. It's like, because we're not allowed to just put drinking to the side. We're like, okay, now what are we going to change? Like, now what's our focus going to be? Now, how do we fill our time? Now what are our goals? And it's seeing those wins over that 90 days that allow us to go put everything on the scale. Like for you, the relationships and looking forward and making decisions about your future. And you had a really difficult decision post 90 that was causing you a lot of stress that you had to process. Do you want to tell us about that?
Sure. So I got a job this year I'm not I don't have my teaching credential, so I'm not really a teacher, but I was able to work as a teacher, and they were able to give me credit for my counseling days. And so I'm making this year more than I've ever made in my life. Doing something that's, I enjoy, but I don't love. Right. And so I decided, like I do many things, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm going to get my master's and get my teaching credential because I want this job because I like the money. And so I did all that, applied to San Francisco State and got all the stuff that I had to do and got accepted and started the program with not really deeply thinking about what that was going to involve. And is it really my passion? Right. I don't care. I'm doing it because the money's so good. So I started it, and I was about 4 weeks in and realizing that I'm not happy at all. I mean, the professors are great. Right. And And it wasn't even that we were on Zoom, because I kind of liked that. I didn't have to actually drive somewhere to go to class, but
Right.
it just wasn't. And it was just agony. And I remember I took notes, I had a binder or whatever, and I would take notes, and I would go back and I'm like, I don't even remember doing that. I don't remember even taking those notes. What's the matter here? I have no interest. I have zero interest in this. I have zero interest in it. What am I going to do? I've already paid for the classes out of my pocket. I'm 4 weeks in. If I don't do this, I don't have this job next year. So, but I reached out to people, reached out to you, reached out to my daughter, another friend, my boyfriend, his daughter, and everybody was just like, Kathy, if you're not happy, don't do it. Just don't. I'm not 30 years old, right? Deciding on my career. I'm, closer to retirement. And do I really want to spend the next 5 years or whatever doing this program, or even teaching, even this job? I felt such a relief that I don't have to go back next year. I'm like, I don't have to deal with, I don't have to deal with it. And so it was hard. It was a tough decision. And, I shed some tears, which I don't normally do, especially over decisions. But
I was thinking about this. Well, it just popped into my head right now. So tell me, how you made the decision this time, clear-headed, was solid advice. You're able to think through it. You made the decision. You're relieved, right? And tell me about what the future looks like with this decision behind you. How do you feel about making that decision?
Well, I felt a lot of relief. The first, I think it was, I made the decision on a Sunday and dropped everything on Monday. Just boom, told everybody, drop the class, done. And if talking to even my daughter, just talking to people, feeling a little bit panicked. And I think now I feel I'm just, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I'll figure it out. I'll figure out a way to make money or get a job or whatever I need to do. We have houses that my boyfriend and I both own some property on a lake, or up where we have a view of the lake. And, I was thinking, if I was working, I wouldn't, it's pretty much going to be he and I building these houses, right? We'll get maybe a little bit of help. But, if I was going to keep this job, which the money was good enough, to warrant that, but I wouldn't be able to help. And so now maybe I'm going to end up just helping with the houses and figuring out how to pay the bills, later. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. And that's okay. And I'm okay with that.
That's the key.
Yeah.
How do you think you would have processed the decision if you were drinking?
I don't even know if I could have done the 4 weeks of school if I was drinking, honestly. I don't know if I don't know.
You might have failed, but blamed it on the alcohol and yourself, as opposed to a clear-minded choice, maybe.
Yeah. It's hard to make those choices, and I've kind of, with the way the world is, I might not ever be able to even travel again. So I've kind of just gone, you know what? I don't have to have, I don't know. Money's always been a big deal to me. Like I don't ever.
All of us.
I wouldn't. Some people want to win the lottery. Never would I want to win the lottery, but I would like just a supply that I don't have to worry about. Right? If I want this, I can buy it. Not, but not. I had a windfall when in my past, kind of, and it wasn't even a big windfall, and it created a lot of problems. So I wouldn't want people that want to win the lottery have no idea what they're asking for, but I do like to be able to buy things I want, so I got to find a way.
I think you will. I'm pretty sure you will. So, tell me about your experience in Project 90.
It has been incredible. It's been incredible. I don't know what I expected. I know I needed support, but I didn't know what that was going to look like. I had never heard of Marco Polo, which is one of the things used in Project 90, where you can...
You tell people about it, yeah.
So okay. Marco Polo is an app basically on your phone, and you can record yourself talking, leaving a message to somebody, whatever you want to say. You could show them your house. You could take, whatever you want to do. And it goes directly to them or to a group. and they can open it anytime they want. So let's say you want to, say I want to talk to my mom and it's 12 o'clock at night, I can Marco Polo her and tell her, Mom, blah, blah, blah. And she can open that up the next day. And I've used, learning about it, I've used it with other friends and stuff, but within Marco Polo, it's a way for the community, all of us that are trying to go 90 days without drinking, get to tell our story, talk about what's going on, I'm struggling today, or I'm having a great day, or I did this, or this happened, or this triggered me. And then you have the supportive people listening to what you've said and coming on and commenting on that and giving you encouragement and telling you what they did. And it's absolutely life-changing. And of course, me being the stubborn person that I am, it took me, I think I was on day 40 or something before maybe day 30 in the program before I actually got on and did Marco Polo, because I don't like to look at my face, even on this. It's hard to do these kind of things, but you get used to it. And I've made friends. I've made actual friends that I like, that I want to talk to, that I could see going to visit, and you're one of them, Roseanne.
Thank you. You are too.
I know that I couldn't have done it. I could never have done even 90 days without the community. I couldn't have done it. I mean, beside, the community calls are great. And the Kevin calls are, the one on, the coaching that you get once a week is great, but it's 20, it's not, you're not getting 2 hours of coaching. You're getting just a short. So that the Marco Polo time is just, I call
it the secret sauce.
Yeah.
So did your friendships come when you ventured out to Marco Polo? I'm curious. Yeah. You have to say something because people are listening.
And it took,
she's nodding her head for those of you listening on the podcast.
And I'm not one to make, like I was telling Roseanne earlier, I don't make friends very easily and very fast. I'm kind of picky about people that I want to call a friend. There has to be a connection, an ability to talk about deep things and stuff.
Okay.
And so, it took a little while with some of the people that I now consider really good friends, but it's fabulous. And it's like a dating app without a date. You're not dating. The people that I made friends with are women, but It's like you're making connections with people in Australia and people in the East Coast that I would never ever get to meet. Right? Never.
Right.
Now we've made this connection, and we have this. We're able to kind of look at each other objectively. We don't have that 20 years of being a friend or any preconceived biases or whatever with that sometimes your friends might have. Like they might not be able to, your friends, good, your close friends that you've had for a long time. It's just a different kind of accountability and a different kind of relationship, I guess is what I want to say. That's a little more objective. And you're on this journey. We've all been doing this together, right? It's not my friends saying, well, I don't know why you're doing it. Why are you giving up alcohol? You don't drink that much, blah, blah, that kind of thing. You have people that are like, hey, I'm doing this with you. And the people that you meet are looking to better their lives. And, what do they say? If you want to be successful, be around people that are successful, be around people that are, moving and changing and growing. Right. And that's going to help you. And that's kind of what I found in Marco Polo.
That's what you see. And now you're in Marco Polo almost at 4 months. And you're going in there and going, hey, people, this works. Check it out. And you're being the inspiration. So a lot of giving back, don't you think?
Yeah. I really think this program is just it's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. What has been put together to help people that find themselves not having just one drink every other week. It's gotten to be something that they don't like and they don't want to do. And either it's causing health issues or it's causing relationship issues or just you don't feel good and you don't feel right. And you feel kind of, embarrassed or not embarrassed, but.
If there was one aha moment, where would you say you had it?
It's not a very big aha moment, but it's a little aha moment. I remember I think I had posted maybe once or twice on Marco Polo, just kind of real brief, saying this is very uncomfortable. I don't really like it. And then a few days had gone by and I'd kind of gotten kind of blah, just feeling kind of down. right? And I thought, I'm going to listen to that Marco Polo stuff. I'm going to see what's going on. And I'm telling you what, it just was like, oh, I get it. And it changed my mood right away. I felt invigorated and excited and happy. And it's kind of like, oh, this is what this is all about. This is the purpose of this. And it pulled me. And from then on, from that point on, I was listening every day, not necessarily commenting every single solitary day, but it definitely became integrated. It was like a shot of adrenaline, like, oh, wow, I get it now. I finally get it, what this is all about, And I think it used to be prior to that, I would get on and I would be like, what are people talking about? Come on, get to the point. Okay. Say it and get off, kind of a little irritated, kind of. And after that, I was like, oh, I get it now. Anyway. So that was kind of, my most aha moment. I remember, I don't know, week 3 or something. I remember getting on with Kevin on our coaching call. And I was like, woohoo, this is it was like the rainbows, man. I was so excited. My life is changing. And this is what I just felt like I had been reborn, kind of. And that was pretty cool. That was a pretty cool, you don't know, it's hard to keep that feeling, but man, I felt that like, oh, this is so incredible. I felt so good and feel so good. And,
So then you had that at 3 weeks, then you didn't feel so good. Then you went on Marco Polo. Then you had your light bulb moment. Is that the right?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Kind of what I didn't really understand the purpose of Marco Polo in the beginning. I didn't really get it. I didn't really understand it, like what it was supposed to do, I guess. And then that day I remember I was in my sewing room trying to sew, and I'm just like, I just feel like crap, man. And then I go, well, I'm going to get into this Marco Polo. And then it totally changed, then I was like happy, and I was like, anyway, it just kind of, it all made sense at that point.
Yeah. Well, and I love your description of first going on and like, come on, what is it that you're trying to say? What is it that you're trying to say? Because that's the impatient part of us. I want it now. I want it now. I want it now. So what exactly did change for you in that? I want it now. I want it now. Oh, okay. I'm willing to listen. How did that?
I don't know.
Relationships, because that's where they happened, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking of Liz, she's my little soulmate buddy, right? To me, and I remember in the beginning listening to her, and I'd be like, "Come on, Liz." I didn't even know her, and I was just like, she just took forever. I love you, Liz. I love you to death. And then, and I'm kind of like that. I have that tendency sometimes to be quick to judge, right? And then I'm always eating it, because now I just love her to death. I love, I don't know what changed. I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was about that day.
Well, we know the result, right? It provided connection. Sounds like it provided patience.
Yeah.
Because when we stop and listen, it does create connection and relationship. Because I find that myself, like Marco Polo paid off, but you can go like 1.5. So you can just make people talk a little faster. And that doesn't mean you're not listening. It just means I have little time and I want to make it go faster. But then I'll get to the second one and somebody's comment on, wait a minute, I didn't hear that, right? So now I have to go back and hear it slow. So it is worth it to hear every person's story in their time.
Yeah.
And see what they're trying to express. And that's, I call it the secret sauce of Project 90. I mean, not everybody has to go through there and get success, but those that do find that much more in success.
Yeah. And it was very unexpected. Never thought like, oh, I'm going to go make friends. This is going to be a way to find friends, or this is going to be a way to find a community, or never thought of that. And it's such a nice icing on the cake, beautiful piece of this. And maybe not everybody's going to experience that. I don't know, but I certainly have.
So as we kind of try and wind down this conversation, is there anything you'd like people to know about an alcohol-free life or your journey, or if there's any amount of wisdom you'd like to pass on, what would be the biggest or smallest nugget? Because sometimes the smallest nugget can be the most important thing to other people. So what wisdom would you like to impart to others as you leave this forum?
Pressure, but I think I used to think that alcohol was so important in my life and that I couldn't live without it. Like I just couldn't. How do people do it? I would look at people that didn't drink and thought, how boring are you? And life, seriously, I would. I'd be like, you're not drinking. What's wrong with you? Are you some prude? Okay. And I think the thing that I've realized and gotten out of this, it really isn't a needed part of life. It doesn't have to be a part of it. It's really a small piece, right? I mean, it's a big piece to us in the past, but it is such a small piece of existence, and it doesn't really matter, right? It doesn't, I don't have to judge people whether they drink or whether they don't drink. I don't have to think if a guy doesn't drink beer, he's kind of a pussy, right? Which is what I told Kevin in the very beginning. I don't have to think that, right? I don't have to judge people based on that kind of stuff.
Right.
The other thing that, this isn't really a nugget, but I've realized, like when I go on vacation now, which I haven't yet, but when I do go on vacation, I'm thinking about, what do I get to do? I want to do stuff. I want to hike and go places and see things. I don't want to just think, ooh, I wonder what kind of alcohol they have in the bar. And maybe those all inclusive, so we don't have to buy our drinks and we can drink whatever we want, right? Not thinking like that anymore. I want to do things. I want to have excitement and adventure in my life and not have it based around, because when you drink, it's a depressant, right? So it's like, now I just want to go to bed, or, I mean, it can, I guess, enliven you for a little while, but then you crash. And it doesn't have to be, I don't know, once you kind of let it go, choose to just say, I don't need that in my life. It becomes, why do I need it in my life? I don't.
I know. And it is hard as an enrollment coach, as you can imagine, your first day, because you don't know what, but it's like, you want to raise your arms up and go, oh, like, okay, bring on the world. I'm ready. I can't wait to go on vacation. Like, think of all the money I'm going to save because I don't have to buy alcohol. I can upgrade now to first class.
Yes.
I mean, seriously, it's just,
especially when you go out to eat. And I'm not one. I have one friend that's like, okay, what's the cheapest wine you have? What's on whatever the happy hour? I'm like, give me the best wine. Give me the most expensive lemon drop you have. Give me the best tequila, whatever. So I wasn't one to try to save money when I drank. So when I would go out, it was not cheap.
Yeah, I know. Wait. I have an app too that, I'm almost a year. Yeah. Does your app track how much money you've saved?
No, but I think I can put it in there. I can't remember.
I have saved $7,180. Yeah, well, in a year. Yeah, it's like 20 bucks. It's only 20 bucks a day, right?
$20 a day.
It is. I put in. Well, that's what they have. Then the app is not counting right. But I thought
right. I just saying mine was more like $10 a day, I think.
Well, I'm at 350 days, so $20 a day. But you're putting in. I mean, you have to go out. Your lemon drop costs you a lot of money. You have to add the alcohol in your vacations.
That's true.
And in your dinners, not what it costs you at home to make your lemon drop.
Right. And I remember going to a concert, and my friend and I wanted something to drink, and we bought probably this big. It was a margarita for $25. $25.
I once had 2 makers on the Mark on the Rocks at a place, and they gave me the bill. It was $40. It's like, oh God.
I know, it's crazy, and I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care.
Now that I've enlightened you that the cost of alcohol includes what you spend when you go out on vacation, would you adjust your average spending to?
Yeah.
Okay.
And my girlfriend and I would go, when we would go out to breakfast, it was on, man. We had mimosas. We would spend $100 on a breakfast. And most of that was alcohol.
Okay. So you're going to be up at, I want you to adjust your app
Yeah, I know.
appropriately for what you really spent on alcohol. Because there's no way that you're spending, you used to spend $10 a day. And now you have more money to spend on vacations.
Exactly. If I can go on vacation, yeah.
Well,
In the States, I can, yeah.
all right, Liz, it has been really fun talking to you, and you are definitely a lot of fun without alcohol. How do you, just before we sign up, how do you see your future? Do you see your future with any alcohol in it, or were you?
At this point, I do not know. No desire.
Good?
I know it's just a slippery.
Well, yeah.
And I'll be calling James and you in 2 years and going, guess what? I got to spend another.
Whatever the price is, because it's going up. So, okay. Well, thank you for joining us, Kathryn. It's been really fun. So we'll see you around soon.
All right. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Alcohol-Free Lifestyle Podcast. I want to load you up with some free stuff right now. So if you want to go to jamesswanwick.com/guide, I will send you my Quit Alcohol Guide, which has helped six-figure entrepreneurs and top professionals reduce or quit drinking. You can also text the word QUIT GUIDE to the number 44222 if you're in the US, of course. It doesn't really work anywhere outside of the US. But if you're in the US on your mobile phone and you'd like that guide, text the word QUIT GUIDE to the number 44222, or you can go to jamesswanwick.com/guide. If you'd like to schedule a free 15-minute call with one of my top coaches, just an exploratory call to see if or how we can help you, then you can go to jamesswanwick.com/schedule, or you can text the word Project 90 to the number 44222 if you're listening in the US on a mobile phone. That's jamesswanwick.com/schedule, or you can text the word Project 90, that's one word, Project 90, to the number 44222. Feel free to send me a direct message over on my Instagram account, which is @JamesSwanwick. You can also watch video episodes of this podcast and a series of other educational videos on my YouTube channel, which is James Swanwick 1, or you can direct message me on Facebook @James Swanwick Official. And finally, a request. Would you please now write a short review of the podcast inside of the Apple Podcast app on your phone or on iTunes on your desktop computer? Would you please give the show 5 stars and write a quick 1 or 2 sentence review? This will help the show get in front of even more listeners, potentially transforming someone's life. You can rate and review the show inside of your Apple Podcast app on your phone or over on iTunes on your desktop. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you next time.